So I'm the program director of this initiative, but I'm not the founder. So we'll also talk about that in a few moments. Okay. The reason we did not provide technical presentation is that we don't have something to brag about. So we don't really have an outstanding project in terms of the general space industry, but this is a really revolutionary case for countries that don't have space infrastructure at all. So our team will be is planning to assemble and launch a nano satellite. So now we are using the CubeSat for those purposes. And I will tell you how the program was established and about the country and why this is such an interesting case in general. So at first, let's talk about the program. So who are we and what do we do? So we are the Kyrgyz Space Program. So we are in Kyrgyzstan. I will also show you where we are on the map. So we are a revolutionary project that aims to have Kyrgyzstan's first satellite launched into space, which will be built by an all-female team. So it is an educational and social project with the purpose to make difference in science in our country and also attitude toward the gender perception in the traditional society of Kyrgyzstan. Why women? So I'm also going to talk about that a bit later, but just a brief introduction that women in Kyrgyzstan are usually confronted with stereotypical role models. Too often they are victims of bride kidnapping that is taking place in our country, and their societal values, they mostly consist of their ability to bear children. So women are mostly caregivers, and they hardly able to afford high quality education in our country and are underrepresented in the higher layers of society. And it also results in the issue of women being underrepresented in STEM field, in science, technology, engineering, and math. The existing space program that we have established in our country has already started to establish successful role models for girls and women in technologies, and the project will also serve as a great showcase to encourage other women to study in STEM field, not only in the aerospace engineering. Moreover, the program itself is a pioneer in space explorations in sovereign Kyrgyzstan. There are almost no specialists in the country who have expertise or experience in the space industry, specifically in satellite building. The program aims to lay the foundation for aerospace research and practice in the universities of Kyrgyzstan. So let's talk about our country at first so we would understand the context. We have a very picturesque and beautiful country. Unfortunately, we were not able to develop science and technology so much in our country. And we are not even mentioning aerospace engineering. So on the world map, we're here near Kazakhstan and China. We are a landlocked country, and we used to be a part of the USSR. What's great about being part of the USSR back then is that back in the USSR, our capital that I'm currently living in had the Special Design Bureau of the Institute of Space Research of the Academy of Sciences of the USSR. It was located right here. Unfortunately, after the collapse of the USSR, everything was relocated to Moscow, and all the specialists that worked here, they either migrated or they either ended up having another job, and they never got an opportunity to continue space research and space explorations. We met some of the specialists who used to work in that bureau around 30 years ago, and unfortunately, they couldn't pass on to their knowledge to us. Yeah, and because the information was a bit outdated, and the whole infrastructure was lost. So our program decided that we renovate and we re-establish space program here in our country, starting with small steps. Therefore, we found that nowadays companies in space industry who work with CubeSats, rocket cubes, or any kind of nanosatellites and smaller. They're really providing an opportunity for countries with no space industry at all to start innovating and start contributing to this field. So why did we decide to assemble and launch the satellite? This is a very interesting question because our country, though it used to have such a special design bureau that created parts of the satellites and did the satellite tests as well here. Nowadays, people do not associate themselves with space industry at all. Only our team here, and we are still getting used to that somehow, because we still cannot believe that we are doing something related to space. Most of our teammates have never seen satellites before we actually started working with them. Therefore, for our country, it is important to also lay the foundation of this association that people can actually contribute to the space industry and they can actually work here. Our program is not university or school based. Most of our universities don't even have very good engineering specializations, but we do have really great software engineers. But just our infrastructure and lack of engineering equipment doesn't let our students to really get hands-on practice. And that is what we also want to make our goal if we successfully launch our satellite into space. So our program is a private one. It is run by a 𝗨𝘀 Media Foundation, which was established more than 10 years ago. And initially, it is a web-based media outlet. And on one of the TED events, our founder, Victor Iskander, he's also a TED fellow. He met chief economist at NASA, Alexander McDonald, who advised to start a space program because nowadays, space program can be pretty inexpensive because of the low-cost solutions that companies provide. And therefore, they decided that it would be great to start a program since it became pretty inexpensive at the time. And now we know that I really liked yesterday's presentation by FOSA representative saying that it really provides inexpensive solutions. And our case study, our case really proves that. So 𝗨𝘀 Media Foundation, in 2016, they launched courses on programming and robotics, and unfortunately, robotics course was mostly attended by boys. And then 𝗨𝘀 Media decided that they should launch a STEM course aimed specifically at girls. And after Victor got to meet with Alexander at one of the TED events, they decided to combine this idea and create an all-female team to build the satellite. So another question we get is why only girls are taking part in this program? The thing is that in our country specifically, women face different kinds of discriminations on a daily basis. And if we talk about STEM field, and also if we talk about aerospace engineering field in general, we know that most specialization, most of the jobs are occupied by men. And by this example, we want to show that women are capable of doing many things and even launching a satellite into space. And as you can see here on the chart, in our country, in the universities, women mostly tend to choose education and non-technical science. This is due to the reason that we don't have enough role models, women who could support the view that women can do science. And many men are usually in the engineering or in software engineering in our country because of this belief. Therefore, we decided to break the stereotype together with our team, and that's why only girls are taking part in our program. So, what goals do we have with our program and what we have already achieved? So I don't think that I also mentioned that our space program was established in March of 2018, and it was started absolutely from scratch. And as you can understand that we have no infrastructure, no specialists, and everything had to be done from the very beginning. Even contacting the companies and understanding who is a reliable vendor, understanding the prices and everything. This was pretty difficult, and I guess I understand how newcomers to aerospace engineering field, so if the country has never had a prior experience, it will be really difficult to establish, and therefore our team is very grateful to our mentors and different specialists who got in touch with us and really helped us a lot, even with the mission, timeline, with the list of vendors and everything. So Kyrgyz Space Program now has 3 stages, and each stage is marked with different set of goals. We are going to talk only about the goals that we have already achieved, so to make it shorter. So at first, we created an all-female team of satellite builders. So there was an open call. Yeah, we'll also talk about it later. So we found some mentors, attracted initial funding, became recognizable through international media. We taught the team the basics of engineering and satellite building, and held online sessions with mentors that we found throughout the program. Educated 100 girls and women the basics of engineering and did the market research. So since we started the satellite building, we had to gather a team that would do it. I will talk a little about the team. The team consists of different people aged from 18 to 25 now. Back at the time, we were from 16 to 23 years old. So none of us has experience in aerospace engineering. Some of us had experience in software engineering, so we can code, but we have never done something like that. And this was a great experience for us. And I guess it is also a long project because it also takes time for us to learn many things like soldering, programming, working with microprocessors and everything. When we started the program, we didn't really know whom to contact except for Alexander Magdolan, who advised this idea to one of our founders. And we were really happy to have mentors who found out about us, or we were also contacted. We established some connections with mentors through the embassies in our countries. And yeah, we are really grateful for that because the documentation which we were reading without any engineering background was pretty difficult for us, and we couldn't find a lot of easy information on nanosatellites. So we also managed to attract initial funding. And with the help of this initial funding, we were able to provide salaries and stipends to the team, also execute some technical projects with Arduino or the drone, have the office rent, and also we managed to buy one educational satellite and engineering module for ourselves, which will arrive soon. We also became recognizable through international media, and it really helped our program to develop and find mentors and funding. So I think it is also important for aerospace engineering industry and for the newcomers in this area to become recognizable and to have a very good media campaign, especially in the countries with no infrastructure, so they could gain some support and expertise. We also had some online session with mentors. We were also really fortunate to find some people who could also help us and guide us, help us read the documentation, held specific sessions for us. So it was like an online university. So one of the goals of our program was also to educate 100 girls and women basics of engineering, because not many people have expertise in satellites. Well, I would say only our team in our country now has some kind of expertise and experience with that. And therefore, we try to pass on our basic knowledge to some other people so then they could also join our team in the future. Now we are at the stage 2. So we performed some of the technical projects to advance our hands-on engineering skills. So girls worked with Arduino project, and they also worked with Lego Mindstorms. So we did it before we had an educational satellite, because we understood that the engineering principles start from the very basics, and it's a very great tool for training. Then we also are now attracting some funds in order to have the laboratory, on-site trainings with mentors, and also to purchase the flight model, have the tests, and the launch. Yeah, some prices are still being considered. Yeah, so we need to correct them as well. So we also do research and documentation required for our mission. So this is very funny because at the very beginning, we could not even read emails that was sent to us by some specialists because we didn't understand anything about data transmission, about frequencies, and everything. So we didn't even know the components of the satellite. And we really had hard times with that. But now I think we progressed a lot, and now we can read the NASA project management handouts. So yeah, I think this was also another success and the goal that we managed to accomplish, to understand the documentation. And the last thing that we managed to do this year is to learn how to work with educational satellites. So this was the first satellite ever in our program. And you can see that here our head coach, he learned how to work with the ESAT, our educational satellite. Unfortunately, we've been in quarantine for over 6 months and we couldn't physically go to the office and have access to equipment. But in September, we went back to the office, and now all our team members are learning to work with the ESAT, educational satellite. So we are now really happy to have a satellite in our office and get to know how it works before our engineering model arrives. So I think when we just started our program, we couldn't even imagine that we would come to this step. So now the whole team is really happy to have this hands-on training with an actual satellite. So something that was an idea before managed to become a reality, and we keep on working. So what happens after the mission? Because our initiative is private, it is not supported by government or by universities now. We plan that we will continue our work after we successfully launch our first satellite and attract the newcomers to the team. If the team will not be able to do that, then we will pass our knowledge and experience to the universities of Kyrgyzstan. So we really want our students to be able to build satellites as part of their university projects, because we really like the infrastructure for that, and our experience would be really helpful for them to start that, and our connections with space industry as well. Yeah, so this is our team. We have 8 people, all the girls, very young, most of them in college right now, and they don't study aerospace engineering yet because we don't have it in our country. So you can contact us. You can also follow us in social media. You can also support us. And also we have information on Patreon about our program. And yeah, thank you very much.